Yes, they nerfed an entire challenge that affects every single weapon with this update, and they kept it completely hidden. We got the full list of patch notes for Season 5 Reloaded for Vanguard and Vanguard Zombies, and there's a lot of stuff in these patch notes. However, what I find most interesting, and I feel like it's going to be most effective for the majority of people, were actually hidden changes and weren't listed whatsoever. We got a pretty big update to Archon, which makes grinding a lot harder on it, and they actually nerfed the requirements for getting Dark Aether in Vanguard Zombies. As always, we're going to make this a rapid style video. That way you can quickly watch this video and get right back into game. If you're new here to sub, I would greatly appreciate it. Starting over, we're just going to skim the patch notes real quick. There's not a lot of things in here I really want to cover because it's stuff we already knew. They talk about the new map that's coming in season. They talk about some other changes to other maps. Blueprint gun games back. Progression, they're fixing an issue with some sort of seasonal challenges. Obviously, we're getting the Seraph Operator. We're getting Rourke. Those are coming later in the season. They talk about the new AR. They talk about the new LMG. We got some changes for the Macro 5, improved coverage and appearance of Mastery Camos. That's actually a sick update. Love that they're going back and changing the camo coverage for Mastery Camos on a weapon that came out, last season. Love to see it. RA225, decreased muzzle flash smoke effects to improve visibility while firing. And then we got some changes to the user interface and experience. Improved performance of UI loading images. Love that because I have some issues with that. Oh, it says previous console generations. Doesn't say PC, but I was having issues with that. Address an issue that prevented players from accessing the customization menu. Bundles and cosmetics. We got some small bug fixes for different bundles and different operators in the game. One of them being the Terminator operator. All this stuff's kind of basic, not very interesting. I'll leave it linked below if you want to read through it yourself. Then we have the zombie section. And for one of the very first time in Vanguard history, the zombies patch notes section are just as big, if not bigger, than the MP section. A lot of times zombies doesn't even make it to the patch notes, so that's very notable. Starting off with the Archon map, addressing issues where players would rarely fall through the map when sprinting into a door and purchasing it simultaneously. So there was a rare bug where if you ran into a door and bought it at like the same time and you got everything to align, you just fall right through the map. Never had that happen, but that's hilarious. Then we've got some issues with zombies spawning outside of the map, so a lot of stuff's been fixed with that, which I've had issues on the Archon with that. Then we just got some other stuff like exfil things not spawning properly. The Decimator shield was supposed to say this line when you picked it up: "You take me into battle, our tales shall be glorious," which that's now been fixed. Then we just got some other lighting stuff and other conversational stuff. We got a Shinonuma fix where it was downing or making players take damage when they shouldn't be. Terra Maledicta. Players who join a match in progress will no longer experience a yellow filter on their screen if the host is in the Isle of Bright area. I feel like this bug was introduced with Archon, so apparently people were loading into Terra Maledicta in progress and getting that yellow screen that you get during some of the trials from the Archon. Next, we've got some weapon changes. There was issues with different magazines not showing up correctly. Once again, we had issues with reticles not showing up correctly. There was an issue with the monkey bombs where if they were dropped in a weird place, you couldn't pick them up. Pack-a-Punch, general, reduced muzzle flash and smoke volume on Pack-a-Punch upgraded weapons. That is huge. I've been wanting this change since the launch of Vanguard. If you shoot a Pack-a-Punch weapon, there's so much smoke and different muzzle flash that it's really hard to see where you're shooting. So that has been fixed. I'm not sure what degree. Push Dagger. The Push Dagger Pack-a-Punch level 1 camo now properly wraps around it. So now when you Pack-a-Punch the Push Dagger, it's actually going to look correct. The following named, okay, so they added in, the new weapons to zombies. The following named blueprints will now use the intended Pack-a-Punch bullet audio, tracers, or muzzle flash. So these are just a bunch of different bundles where when you Pack-a-Punched them, they weren't working correctly. Now they are. Gameplay, artifacts, address an issue that prevented players from utilizing their artifacts if they attained them or shortly after being downed or revived. This is huge. This has been an issue that's been in Vanguard since the beginning. Since the very beginning. You guys know when you go to use your artifacts, sometimes it just doesn't work. Usually that's caused by going down and then shortly getting it after you get back up or something along those lines. Hopefully it's finally been fixed. I've seen this before. This is like the third time I think we've seen this in patch notes where they've talked about fixing this, but this is one of the biggest game enders on Vanguard. I would say half of my games end and I end up losing because of this bug. I end up going down, getting back up, and then I go to use my Frost Blast and it's like, oh yeah, your Frost Blast doesn't work anymore. It's bugged out. So hopefully this has finally been fixed. Please don't be a bug that's permanently in this game. Covenants. Death Blow and Critical Expertise no longer refund or overflow lethal equipment when paired together, so you can't use these covenants with lethals anymore. The Archon, Trial of Resilience. The HUD Smoke treatment, so we got some more visual stuff. Enemies, Zabala the Deceiver. Address an issue where Zabala Deceiver would sometimes fly away when eliminated. Hopefully that doesn't mean the ragdoll. My favorite part about Zabala is when you take her out and sometimes she just ragdolls. And that might, hopefully that's not what they changes. Challenges, camouflage challenges. Address an issue that prevented the Wildcat Deadeye challenges progression if the player killed the gunner dude with their backpack. Address an issue that prevented the well gun from contributing to the Plague Diamond camo progress for the submachine gun category. I've heard people having issues with this. You can use DLC weapons to unlock, Plague Diamond and Dark Aether and Vanguard. For some reason, the well gun didn't work. It was the only DLC weapon that didn't count. It has now been fixed and it now counts. These aren't the Dark Aether changes I was talking about. They list these Dark Aether changes. They legitimately nerfed an entire category for every weapon, and they didn't list it on these patch notes. I'm not sure why. These small changes made it, but not the big nerf they did. Season 5, Desert Domination, address an issue that prevented this challenge from tracking. Stability, added new stability improvements and exploit fixes. So those are all the patches. The two biggest changes that I find most notable about Vanguard Zombies weren't listed on this at all. Now let's talk about the Dark Aether Camo requirement update. Yes, they nerfed an entire challenge that affects every single weapon with this update, and they kept it completely hidden. They didn't talk about it in the patch notes. They didn't even tweet about it. The only way I found out about this is I started grinding the brand new F2000 here in Vanguard, and I realized that, hey, this was completely nerfed here. And there's a lot of different challenges. I kind of wish they nerfed the 4,000 Pack-a-Punch eliminations. No, this one didn't change. The most annoying, the longest grind in Vanguard is getting all 4,000 Pack-a-Punch eliminations. This is what's going to take you the longest. This didn't get nerfed. Instead of nerfing this, they nerfed one that a lot of people did have issues with, but it wasn't that hard. In Zombies, get 5 rapid kills 50 times. Prior to this update, this was get 10 rapid kills 50 times, and this affected every weapon. This wasn't just for the ARs, even for the riot shield. So if we go over here, let's make a new class because I don't want to mess up that class. The melee weapons, I just did this a couple weeks ago. This used to be 10 rapid kills instead of 5, and this was hard for the melee weapons. This is actually a pretty big update for the melee weapons, and of course they changed this right after I finished getting my last melee weapon gold. No joke, right before season 5 reloaded came out, I finished this, and the last thing I did was the 10 rapid kills because it was really hard for melee weapons. But this was nerfed for every single category in the entire game. I'm not sure why they waited this late in the game's life cycle to nerf the camo requirements. Legitimately, the last update is the update they changed this, and they changed the one that isn't what most people complain about. I feel like most people complain about the 4,000 Pack-a-Punch eliminations. This takes really long. As you can see, I finished all of these and I probably only had around 1,200, so I still had 3,000 more kills to get with this weapon, and I had already finished that. So yeah, they did nerf the Dark Aether Camo requirements. It's just not the category I expected. Now for the second hidden change, here we are loaded on the round-based Archon Zombies map. The best grinding spot on this entire map got nerfed. So this is the spot that I sat and would play for a long time, because if you're going to round 100, this was the best spot because zombies would only climb up from the front. They have now changed the pathing of the zombie. So if you're intending to use this spot to go to round 100 or just grind camos, keep in mind the zombies are no longer just going to come from the front. They're also going to come around and they're going to climb on the sides. If you're using a rocket launcher, I mean, it's still going to affect you. They did nerf this grinding spot pretty heavily, which, I mean, beforehand, it was kind of broken. It was kind of OP because the zombies would climb up once and then you could shoot them and then they climb up a second time and keep going. But now they'll do one simple jump up on the left and the right, making it a lot less viable. Not a huge fan when they nerf, camping spots and grinding spots like this towards the end of the game's life cycle, because yeah, the spot was a little bit stronger than the other spots, and like normal methods and normal tactics of getting to high rounds usually aren't that strong, which I would have understood if they would have nerfed it right when the game map launched. But to nerf it right with like the final update for the game, like right before they stop introducing new content, feels a little, just, I don't know, a little bit weird. But it is what it is. We're gonna move on, and from now on, I'm not gonna grind camos on the Archon because this was the one good camo grinding spot. Yeah, Shinonuma is definitely the way to grind camos, and you might be grinding those camos now that getting Dark Aether is a little bit easier. With that, there was also a brand new Easter egg added to both maps. That was also not in the patch notes. Yes, there is a new mini-map Easter egg on both Shinonuma and Vanguard, and we are going to be talking about that in a video coming out later today where we kind of explain all the different methods. We're still working. I'm still trying to figure out how it fully works. If you guys just started seeing. So I need a little bit more time to figure out all the different spots and how it works, but we'll have a guide on the new Easter egg that was added into these maps also posted later today once I figure out everything I need to know for that. With that, boys, let me know what you thought about everything here. Are you going to grind Dark Aether now that they have nerfed one of the camo challenges? Or are you still going to be like, yeah, no, thank you. I'm gonna just wait for Modern Warfare 2. But I'm out. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. I want to give a quick thanks to those who became a Twitch sub or a YouTube member, and an extra special thanks to those who took it above and beyond and became an Unlock Plus member here on YouTube. We got the Legend Army Tech Rex, the Absolute Chad Noah, the Homie Flicks, the GOAT RPH, and then finally the man himself, No Spice.